Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. There's a third-party, non-profit entity which is suing the SEC and has everything to do with the SEC versus Ripple case and a complete lack of transparency. And I've reported on this topic, but now, just today, there is a new filing from this non-profit entity that is suing the SEC, now saying that there's been improper conduct and questions must be answered, and that's what they're demanding in a new filing. So I'll give you the update on all of the latest SEC ass-hattery. You know you got to get your ass-hattery fill, and this is the place to do it, damn it, all up on the Moon Lambeau channel. Also, Attorney John Deaton, check this out. I'm going to cover this story second, but Attorney John Deaton says he has a plan. Certain metrics must be met, but he has a plan. And if certain things happen, he's going to go to Washington, D.C., and he will refuse to leave until he gets a meeting with a banking committee, which is led by politicians in Congress. So I'll give you the specifics on that as well. But I do want to be clear at the outset, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, I want to make sure I properly set the table so you know what's been going on to this point. I'll try and be brief with that, but this story dates back actually to August 12th of 2021. And the entity in question that I referenced in the intro of the video here was IMPROPER Oversight. That's the nonprofit entity that's going after the SEC for their ass-hattery. Yes. And so here is the document from August 12th. The whole thing's on your screen if you want to pause and read the whole thing, but I want to read the part that I found to be most relevant. And also, I do recognize they have a misunderstanding, nothing against IMPROPER Oversight, but they have a misunderstanding, which is unfortunately still somewhat common, that Ripple created XRP in the XRP ledger, and that's not true. So it's referenced in multiple pages on their website, so they should correct that at some point. I hope they do, but I just didn't want to pretend like it wasn't there on your screen right now. It is. But other than that, it's, what they're doing seems to be top shelf stuff here. So here's what they had to say, and this is from August 12th, 2021. IMPROPER Oversight submitted a detailed FOIA request. Oh, by the way, and I wanted to mention this first. This is the official FOIA website, foia.gov, and this is a real thing in the United States. I don't know if there's a comparable government process or entity anywhere else in the world. Maybe there is, and I'm just unaware of it. Cool. But I think a lot of people outside the United States are unfamiliar with this. FOIA stands for Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. And here you can see on the primary page of this website, the basic function of the Freedom of Information Act is to ensure informed citizens, vital to the functioning of a democratic society. And so you absolutely can, if you're a citizen or an entity, in this case we're talking about a nonprofit, but you absolutely can file requests for government documents. Now, that's not to say that the public at large should have access to literally everything. There's such a thing as secrecy, and like in a way that makes actual sense. There is such a thing as actual privilege for various government agencies, and they should be able and can invoke that. It's just, unfortunately, there are at times instances where individuals that in government agencies will invoke such claims when they're not justified. And so that's when you have to push back a little bit. So, but anyway, the point is there's an actual path forward here in the United States. And so anyway, this piece from August 12th reads, IMPROPER Oversight submitted a detailed FOIA request to the SEC, seeking communications between SEC officials and their current and former employers. From May 2017 to December 2020, senior SEC official William Hinman reportedly participated in the SEC's regulation of cryptocurrencies while receiving millions of dollars from his former employer, the law firm Simpson Thacher. Simpson Thacher is a part of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, an industry organization whose objective is to drive the use of Enterprise Ethereum. Hinman, while in his capacity at the SEC, declared that the Ethereum cryptocurrency Ether was not a security, causing its value to rise significantly. And so look, the people running IMPROPER Oversight, they have a pretty good understanding of the specifics of the SEC versus Ripple case and the implications for the broader crypto ecosystem, including in terms of price action. And so what they're saying is saying, we want some transparency on this. We want documents associated with anything having to do with this. And there you go, Freedom of Information Act request filed, right? So fast forward just a little bit here. And this is on December 10th of last year, 2021, so just a little over a month ago. This is when the lawsuit against the SEC was filed by IMPROPER Oversight. Here you can see the headline. IMPROPER Oversight sues SEC for access to FOIA documents amid crypto conflict of interest concerns. And I don't want to read the whole thing. It is on your screen again. If you want to pause, feel free. But there are a couple parts I did want to highlight. The beginning part's just referencing what was basically discussed in August of 2021. And then they write here, I think this is the part I wanted to jump in at. Former SEC Chairman Jay Clayton may have had conflicts of interest when he declared that Bitcoin was not a security. After his time at the SEC, Clayton joined a cryptocurrency hedge fund, One River Asset Management, that only worked on Bitcoin and Ether. To date, the SEC has failed to comply with 6 of the 8 categories of documents in IMPROPER Oversight's FOIA request. The SEC claimed that searches for 2 of the 8 categories yielded no records relating to communications between Mr. Clayton or Mr. Berger and the SEC's Office of Ethics Counsel regarding their future employers and any potential recusals. The other 6 requests remain entirely unanswered. That's not a word. Unanswered. Words are hard. As a result, IMPROPER Oversight filed a complaint against the SEC in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia to compel the SEC to comply with the other 6 categories of the FOIA request. As with prior legal action, IMPROPER Oversight is represented by Hush Blackwell, charging the SEC with failure to comply with statutory deadlines in violation of FOIA and unlawful withholding of agency records in violation of FOIA. And then they cite the section of that. This is IMPROPER Oversight's 2nd FOIA lawsuit filed since its launch in July of this year. And so there you go. SEC, of course, and this is not going to surprise anybody, very interested in a lack of transparency. And so they're just kicking the can down the road as much as they can, but IMPROPER Oversight is pushing back here. And then they write, while waiting for the SEC to comply with its FOIA obligations, IMPROPER Oversight had previously appealed an erroneous SEC decision that had imposed extra costs on the FOIA request, eventually winning a fee waiver for the requests on the basis of being a media requester. So there you go. They'll fight this every step of the way. The SEC does not want any information out, no matter whether or not the public's entitled to see it. They don't want it out, period. And so then you can see here the latest update. Here you go, January 19th, 2022. IMPROPER Oversight filed an administrative appeal challenging the Securities and Exchange Commission's claim that, quote, no responsive records exist, end quote, in several categories of IMPROPER Oversight's Freedom of Information Act request. So let's pause. So since the last filing in December, the last update, when the lawsuit was filed, they're claiming that the records, additional records being requested here, the SEC's claiming doesn't exist. Flat out just doesn't exist. And that seems a little fishy to IMPROPER Oversight, which is why they wrote what they wrote here. So what they wrote continues. The SEC's claim that it, quote, conducted a thorough search of the SEC's various systems of records, end quote, regarding conflicts of interest with cryptocurrencies is unsupported. In its response to IMPROPER Oversight, the SEC failed to describe the scope of its searches. Thus, neither IMPROPER Oversight nor the public can be assured that the SEC took reasonable steps to locate and produce responsive documents. In its administrative appeal, IMPROPER Oversight is requesting the SEC to review the SEC FOIA research specialist searches, report if any deficiencies are found, and provide sworn affidavits describing the searches in detail if the SEC still claims that no record exists. And so there you go. They're really pushing them here. And kudos, in fact, they get a little golf clap for pushing them just like they are. I'm glad they're doing something here. And so there you go. Like they're not even willing apparently to describe the process that they went through to search for these documents. And you can see they want this under sworn affidavits so that if these people end up lying about their searching or lack thereof, then you potentially got some sort of criminal case there, like serious legal action. could be in store for those individuals. So it will be interesting to see how this unfolds. Frickin', there's so much ass-hattery in the world today, you know? Now on to this. From Attorney John Deaton. As many of you know, he launched a crypto law, and his crypto law website has a bunch of interesting facts, including an entire timeline leading up to the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. And he created and launched towards the later part of 2021 Connect to Congress for United States citizens, that you could easily file any sort of document, complaint, whatever it is that you want to file having to do with any and all things crypto. That was the purpose of it anyway, specifically having to do with the SEC versus Ripple case. And so there was even ultimately a default letter that was drafted that you could send as is, or modify, tweak it, or just write your own. You could do whatever you want. So there's just like a template there, basically, to make things super easy, so that people that are busy, you can take a few seconds out of your schedule, less than 30 seconds, bam, send something off. And it's an excellent, worthwhile move. It's a great push. And so I'm glad John Deaton did, and he's found real traction with this. Now he's got something for people outside the United States, though. So check this out. This is from Attorney John Deaton. To my international XRP holders, I am proud to announce Crypto Law's International Connect to Congress call for action. As promised, we have activated an option for international holders to connect to the U.S. Congress. It is a petition to the 4 key members who can open an investigation. I ask that only international holders use this petition option, and U.S. holders keep using the Connect to Congress app. This will maximize the power of both and not dilute the other. So, folks, if you're going to proceed, again, please respect what John Deaton is saying here. Only use this internet file with this international petition if you're outside of the United States. As far as Connect to Congress, only use it if you're within the United States. Otherwise, you're doing more harm than good. So just respect, please, what he has to say there if you choose to participate in it to any degree. And then John wrote, this will be a petition to the banking committee's leadership, and then cited the 4 members right there that were the leaders. Then he says, the international petition mirrors the message from U.S. holders via Crypto Law's Connect to Congress, and it reads as follows. We are writing to you as the chairpersons and ranking members of the U.S. congressional committees overseeing the Securities and Exchange Commission, because we are foreign citizens and digital asset holders who have been grievously harmed rather than protected by that agency. The SEC's enforcement actions on cryptocurrencies have involved the appearance of improprieties and conflicts of interest among officials and should be investigated. Attorney John Deaton, who represents over 64,000 digital asset holders in an ongoing action against the SEC, has compiled evidence that SEC officials may have colluded with outside parties to regulate cryptocurrencies, and in line with their personal financial interests. Here is a link to Deaton's summary of the evidence, and then the link is provided. The SEC, under Gary Gensler, has refused to address these troubling questions, resisted Freedom of Information Act requests, and ignored media reports. The stonewalling must end if there can be any faith in the markets and in government oversight. We, the undersigned, ask that you use your oversight responsibility to open an investigation into the SEC's enforcement practices on cryptocurrencies and the apparent conflicts of interest among those responsible for issuing guidance and taking enforcement actions. There you go. And so that's the letter. That's the draft. And, wow. Pretty powerful. Cuts through to the point. And since that's a petition, like, that's just what it is. You can sign or not sign along with it. That's pretty powerful, though, isn't it? And it's true. It's completely accurate. And then John Deaton says the following. My plan is, after we have sent an impressive number of messages from United States holders, and then in parentheses he writes, we are approaching 10,000 message requests specifically calling for an investigation, then he ends parentheses, and we match that number from international holders, I will go to D.C. and not leave until I get a meeting. Whew. And if he says it, he means it. He ain't playing around. John Deaton bringing the fire as usual. And he just ain't messing around, man. Just ain't messing around. So hopefully the responses will be just as powerful. I did check earlier today, and it was already at like 6,500 for the petition. So I believe that's what it said anyway. So I think it's more than that now. I'll go ahead and provide a link below for anyone internationally who wants to participate. Again, it's not for people in the United States, though, so please respect that. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.